Hi, this is Kara McNall, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. And today we're going to make this card using the Heartfelt blooms from the Sale-a-bration campaign. And you can earn this stamp set. It looks like this. It comes with 3 greetings and the flower. And it's on page 4 of the Sale-a-bration. And Sale-a-bration runs from January 3rd until March 31st, 2018. And it's right here on page 4. You can earn this stamp set with a order of $50 or more. And that can be from any of the catalogs, the annual catalog, occasions catalog, or even the clearance rack. So if you have an order of $50 before shipping and tax, you can earn the stamp set just like I did. So let's get started making this card. Today I wanted to showcase these crinkled seam binding that you can purchase from the annual catalog, and it looks like this. It comes in 4 different colors: Emerald Envy, Peekaboo Peach, Native Navy, and Berry Burst. And my favorite card made is with the Peekaboo Peach color scheme. And I cased this card from someone, I'm not really sure, someone pinned the card in Pinterest, and they unfortunately did not provide any information, and I've searched and searched. So if you created this card, thank you so much. I really, really liked it. So that's why I decided to do a four color scheme. So anyway, let's get started creating this card. You'll need a card base, and this is Berry Burst, and it's cut 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And the next piece you will need is Lemon Lime Twist, and this is cut 4 by 5 1/4, and we'll set that aside. We're going to be doing our stamping. So the inside panel is 4 by 5 1/4, and I'll bring in a piece of scrap paper here. And I just want to show you this stamp. It's you got to be really careful with this stamp because your ink pad, you do not want heavily inked. So you just got to find the right amount of ink because it's all different shading. So it looks kind of like a watercolor stamp. So what I do is I just bring my ink pad down, and you can kind of see the variation. And I'm always using this corner here as the bottom part of the stamp, the flower. So this is the inside panel, so I'm just going to stamp up in the top corner. And look at that, that's awesome. The detail is just amazing. I love this stamp. So we're going to set this aside, let it dry. The next piece we're going to ink up is the focal point. And this is a piece of Whisper White, and it's just cut 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp down in the lower left corner here because we'll be cutting this out with the Big Shot later. Okay, and there's that image. We'll set this one aside. And again, the next panel is going to be another piece of Whisper White, and it's cut 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So 3 7/8 and 5 1/8. And this is going to be our front panel, this piece under here. So what I want to do is I want to stamp about a 1/2 inch from the bottom, and in the same manner I have been stamping all along here. So I'm going to ink this up one more time just in case it dried a little bit. And again, I'm going to have this corner here, it's that leaf part, down in the lower left corner, and about a 1/2 inch from the bottom, and I'm just going to stamp down. And lift up. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And we're going to set this aside and let it dry. And we're going to need to bring in the Big Shot. Actually, I forgot one step. I always want to stamp my envelope. So we'll just bring this stamp right back in real quick ink it up in Berry Burst and stamp our envelope in the lower left corner here. I think that completes your card with a stamped envelope. So again, we'll put that aside. We're done with that big stamp, and we'll close up this. Okay, so now we're going to bring in the Big Shot, and we're going to be cutting out this piece here that we've stamped using the stitched framelit circle. So what I have here is the magnetic platform. Excuse these acrylic plates. I've had them for years and they still do the job, so I'm happy with them. And then what we'll do is we'll add the circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up because this is going to be our sentiment area. So I'm pushing this circle up here. Hopefully you can see this. Let me just move this out of the way. Okay, I think that's better. All right, so again, I'm moving this up to the top here. So I've got some white space here, and I'm gonna just add my acrylic plate, and then just gonna run it through the Big Shot. Okay, so we're done with the Big Shot for right now. We'll set it aside. We'll need it later for some embossing. All right, so much stuff here. Okay, so here's our stamped image, and we'll just take it out real carefully here. So this is our area that we want to stamp. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the front panel, and how I match this up, before I stamp the sentiment, I'm going to match up my leaves. So you don't want to just stamp it down, because if you stamp it down like this way, then your flower is not going to line up, so your sentiment's going to all get crooked. So what I like to do is I like to line up the circle, and you can kind of just line up I look for the petals and this leaf over here, and then image over here, so that it's all lined up. And what also helps me out is this little vein here in that leaf. So we're going to line this up. Okay, that looks pretty good right there. So I know I'm going to need to stamp straight across there. So I chose Early Espresso as my sentiment color. Bring that in, and sending thoughts, sending heartfelt thoughts. So I'm just going to ink this up with Early Espresso, and got to make sure my sentiment is going the right way because I don't have my stickers on my stamps. And we'll just stamp that down. Perfect. Okay, so we're done with the Early Espresso. We don't need that anymore. And we're going to set this aside, clear out our area because we need the Big Shot one more time. And we're going to bring in the Big Shot platform, an acrylic plate, and your embossing folder of choice. I didn't really have one that's very detailed from Stampin' Up, so this is just what I've had since I've been stamping for about 5 years. So what I'm doing is I'm only going to emboss this area, the top part of the panel. So I've got my platform, my acrylic plate, my embossing folder, my cardstock, and the acrylic plate for the top. So we'll just run that through. All right, and we're all done with the Big Shot, so we'll set that aside. And this is what we get. We get this image here that is embossed, and it's right around the top of that stamped image here. So our next step is to add the circle. So I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of the circle here, and all you need is really 3 of them. You don't need too many. And we'll just remove this back side of the dimensionals. Okay, and now I'm going to, again, before I secure it, before I really secure it, I'm just going to make sure it's all lined up and my sentiment is straight. So I'm looking over here, and I'm also looking over on this side. So it just needs to go over just a tad bit. And you can also use this white image down here. I find that's very helpful as well. So that looks good, and my sentiment looks straight. So I'm just going to flip this over and press from the back side just in case I have some ink on my fingers. I don't want to transfer that to the front panel. So we're done with that, and we're going to bring in our lemon line twist. Again, that's cut 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to add our adhesive to the back side of this panel and all 4 sides, and I add a little bit in the middle, especially on this embossed area. And there is only 1/8 of an inch border, so you just before you get it secured down real well, you just want to make sure you've got that border. And again, I just flip it over just because that's the way I do it. And now I'm just kind of learned something or taught myself. I get so frustrated sometimes when I can't tie bows. So I just discovered this little trick. It's new to me, so it might not be to you, but I just add a little bit of adhesive and just press it down onto my scrap paper. So then I'm just going to bring in a piece of the Berry Burst Crinkled seam binding. And again, this comes in 4 different colors. And my ribbon scissors, and just cut off a piece here. And then you could also, I'm going to do this, show you another little trick. I'm going to tape down my scrap paper here. So now I'm going to try in front of the camera to tie a bow. Hopefully I'll be successful on the first try. But tonight it's been a little difficult, but I'll try my best, and that's all I can ask for. I love the crinkled seam binding. It's just really pretty ribbon. It gives the illusion that it's really fluffy with all the crinkles in it. So, all right, so this is a rather kind of like messy bow right now. So I'm just gonna tie it tight, and then just pull. I've got it pretty tight, too tight, but I'm just going to pull this a little bit here until I get it down to where I want it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to move this over to the left side because that's where I want the placement of the bow. Okay, I'm not going to cut the ends yet. I'm going to add a glue dot to the center of the knot here, so the ribbon, the bow will stay in place. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not going to cut the ends yet, so I want to make sure of placement. So I'm going to add my adhesive to the back side here, going carefully over that ribbon. You just want to put a little bit on the ribbon. And again, we're going to bring in this is the Berry Burst card base. Again, it's cut 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4, and there's just 1/4 of an inch around all 4 sides. And then again, I'm going to flip this open because I always like to press from the back side. You work so hard on your cards, and there's so disappointing when you transfer ink onto a card that you have almost done. So that's the reason why I like to just turn my projects and press from the back side. So one last thing we're going to do is that we're going to add our inside panel. It's just beautiful. And I just run adhesive on the top, and I'll just press it down on the top here. And there you've got it. One last step, actually, I forgot, was I add a little bit of Winkostella in the middle, just to give it a little bit of bling. You don't need too much. Again, this is, you know, thinking of you, maybe even a sympathy card. So on the bright side, but I still think it's doable with the colors. So here's the Berry Burst color. We've got the Night of Navy, Again, the matching envelope with the Night of Navy. And we have the Emerald Envy with the matching envelope. This one I really like as well. I use the Flirty Flamingo panel there. And then on the Night of Navy, I used the Berry Burst behind that. And on the Peekaboo Peach, which is the card that I saw on Pinterest, I used Cajun Craze as the panel. And on the inside of the card, I did not use the Whisper White panel. I just stamped tone on tone because you can use a pen on this one. I don't think you really need the panel. So for all your Stampin' Up! Needs, please visit my website. It is inspiredbygram.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.